the power of advertising in corporate America, because to me it's inescapable, but yet your art is part of it, yet it also calls it into question.
Well, it's something that has been proven to be effective. I mean, these companies, they're more or less, you know, able to understand consumer psychology. They know what people to react to, and against a you know, the might of a huge corporation that's done all these focus groups and studies and everything, the average person is they're not powerless, but maybe they just don't realize how effective and insidious it is. And you know, what I'm trying to do is like you said, put something next to the advertising that calls it into question and also makes the individual feel like they have power for this to be a two-way dialogue, that they're not just the victim of having to deal with this stuff. And people have frequently said to me, like, oh, I don't want to see your stuff around town, it's such an eyesore. Yet they're not questioning all the advertising that they're confronted with. And I just think that's such a double standard, that if you pay to encroach on people's visual space, which, you know, a billboard on the horizon, a bus bench ad there, this here, that's one thing, and that's fine for that to be an eyesore. But then when it's not paid for, then it's bad. You know, I'd make the argument that that my stuff actually does more enhancing than detracting, hopefully. It's always a subjective thing, but what it comes down to with a lot of the city ordinances is that the cities want to benefit the companies, they want to benefit commerce, and so therefore the individual that would like to express themselves is not very important within within that dynamic. So, you know, I hope that people see what I do, and even if they're questioning me, just that they're questioning, they go, oh, what's that guy up to? Why I don't think maybe his motives aren't really on the up and up. That's okay, as long as that then carries over to them questioning the advertising they're seeing.
Right. I think it's interesting to me that someone would complain that what you're doing is an eyesore, because I go down the street and airbrushed people on billboards is such an eyesore to me.
I think it's an issue of familiarity being comforting, and that just I've joked, and a section of my book is called Repetition Works, and it's just my images over and over and over, and it's both a comment on what I achieved through repetition, but also paralleling what every American deals with day in, day out, and how actually it's totally effective. It's the Bush strategy of keep telling the same lie, and eventually people believe it and it becomes truth. So over time, even something that was perceived as dangerous can become familiar to where it becomes comforting. And, you know, that's a danger with my work, that it actually, you know, becomes so familiar it loses its potency, which is why I'm always trying to evolve what I'm doing, yet keep a visual tie-in, a thread to the previous work, so that people realize that it is something that's building and building and building. But it's a challenge, and people are I think generally a little bit lazy and tend to embrace the familiar.
What do you say to people who just look at what you do and the act of affixing a sticker or something as nothing but defacing and vandalization?
Well, one of my arguments is I'm a taxpayer, you're a taxpayer. I own a little chunk of the public space that maybe is being used for an ad that I didn't say I wanted it to be used for. Just like I might say I'd prefer that my money was going to education instead of funding the war in Iraq. But do I have a choice? Unfortunately, I don't. But this is something that I can do where I can put my work in public and I can express myself, and I feel that really everyone should have the ability to express themselves as long as what they're doing isn't hurting someone else. And I have been arrested 13 times, and it's just part of it. I've been beaten up by the cops in New York City and had to pay big fines. And, you know, I go, but is what I'm doing, where I'm coming from, I feel really strongly about it. I feel strongly enough to deal with that, to deal with being arrested. And, you know, part of the reason I'm making the art that I'm making is to react to elements of oppression that if I were to cave in to having been arrested would be somewhat just giving in to the very things that I have a problem with.
Right. Do you think that we are unknowingly faced with government propaganda images, every day, like unbeknownst to us?
Well, I think that just seeing the American flag as a backdrop for the news is saying, to a degree, will we endorse what the government has to say? We're somewhat complicit because there's the iconography right there. Every day we're confronted with that, and I've gotten to the point where I actually am creeped out seeing American flags, and that's terrible because I love this country. But the type of person that that waves the flag vigorously, and it disturbs me because I think there are a lot of problems with what's going on right now, and a mindless endorsement of it all is not healthy.
In my opinion, the American flag, the symbol that you see on all the lapels of Fox News pundits and the president alike, they've hijacked that image. It's their own little symbol for going into countries and beating everyone up. And I love my country and I love the flag. And I want that back. I want my country back from these people, and I want that logo. I want that corporate image back from these people. Do you think art and artists can do anything to wrest that away from these people?
That's a tough one because I think that as an artist, if you integrate the American flag into your work, there's going to be this perception that you are coming from the perspective of Fox News and George Bush. There's a book, Swastika, Symbol Beyond Redemption. It's basically saying that once it's been used in the way it's been used, it's very difficult for it to recover, because prior to that it was an American Indian motif, etc. I've been using the American flag in my art actually more as a symbol of what our country is doing negatively, and I hate to have to use it that way, but I think that's the more accurate use at this point is our cultural imperialism and our economic domination. There's pretty much no better symbol for that than our flag. But the hippies reclaimed the flag to a degree, the peace sign with the American flag in it, and I think that should be a good example of how it could be done.
Well, yeah, I agree, and I hope you're part of that. In closing, let me say this to you, man. I've always admired your artwork, even before I really knew it was you. And having known you for as long as I have now and talked to you before, I was very happy to have you on the show, because I think your message behind the art is as interesting and as amazing as the art itself. And for that, I thank you. And thank you for being on the show.
Oh, thank you.